Good evening, everybody. We will begin our regular meeting. Today is November the 12th, 2015. And as you know, we always begin with a prayer and a pledge. And Director Leonard Rogers is going to begin us with a prayer. And Director Martin Cepeda will lead us in the pledges.
Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you, Lord, with such humble hearts. Ask you to forgive each and every one of our sins, Lord. Ask you if you would go through this meeting with us, Lord, and each member of the board here, help us make the best decision that we can for the community, Lord, and the things that we do after. We ask the Lord, if you would, if you look after each and every one of the police and military and all that protects us, serve us, and all the veterans who just went through today, Lord. We ask you, Lord, if you would go with us tonight and tomorrow and be with each and every one of us. We ask in Jesus' precious holy name. Amen.
Amen. You told me to pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. I, the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the United States, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
The first item on our agenda tonight is to consider comments from members of the audience, and I understand that no one has signed up to speak, so we will continue. The next item is to consider and act upon approval of the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting held on October 14th, 2015, and October 29th, 2015.
So moved.
Can we do both of them, David, at the same time? Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Director Rivera.
Second.
I heard a second by Director Cepeda. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. The next item is to consider community development grant funding requests and take action to award or deny grants in connection therewith.
So I think the easiest thing, if you guys would like to, kind of go down these one at a time, would be the easiest thing. And if you want to start with the first one, we can go ahead and do that. First request you have is from Splendor Youth Baseball Association for additional playground equipment at the sports complex.
Okay. We will need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Director Rogers and a second by Director Heston. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. It's unanimous.
Brenda, can we say the amounts?
Yes.
Yeah, can we go through them as we can?
As we go through them.
Yes.
Sure, absolutely.
For the people in the audience.
Yeah, I'll get you a summary when we're done, and as well, Kelly's going to write an article, so it'll all be in the paper and everything. So this the funds requested was $39,529.38, and they have matching funds of $20,363.62 for a total project of $59,893. The second one you got to consider is from the Splendor Robotics Program inside Splendor ISD. They're requesting $4,665.09, and they have matching funds of $2,297.73.
Okay. So we need a motion. Okay. Motion by Director Rogers. Okay. Second by Director Carlisle. Any discussion?
I would like to reapprove the motion or something, and just instead of the 4,000, do the complete total of $6,900. That's
Okay. So can we amend the motion?
You need to make a motion to amend the motion to approve the $6,962. And then if there's a second to it, you can discuss the amendment.
Okay. So is that you would like to amend the motion to award them the full $69.62?
Yes.
Okay. And Director Carlisle, you would second that motion? Okay. Any discussion? We can vote on it that way?
You vote on the amendment first.
Okay. All in favor? Unanimous? you.
So that is not a motion on the floor.
That's the motion. It passes. Thank you.
No, it's the motion on the floor for discussion now.
I'm sorry. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving it for the $6,962.82? And it's unanimous.
The next one we have is from New Caney ISD White Oak Middle School. This is for educational material for the Applied Skills Classroom. Funds requested $2,381.77 with a match of $1,167.97.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we approve this project for the full cost of $3,543.74.
I'll second that motion.
So the motion by Director Webb, second by Director Rivera. Any discussion?
Is this the one where the lady was taking money out of her own pocket?
Yes.
Yes,
That's honorable, it's just taking that money out of our pocket, so I think we should fund it.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
The next program is the Splendor ISD Police Department. Funds requested is $4,891 and matching funds of $2,409.
Okay.
I make a motion, we approve that.
Okay. So motion by Director Carlisle and a second by Director Hessen. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
And the next item we have is for Room 4 Special Events Committee. Funds requested $9,032.94 and matching funds of $4,449.06.
Okay, so we need a motion
I'll make a motion.
to approve it?
Yes.
Okay.
Second. I'll second it.
Motion by Director Rogers and a second by Director Hessen. Any discussion?
This is the automatic firing deal for the fireworks on the 4th of July. That, can we request that Carlisle stand in front of this and shoot at him?
Sorry, that's not part of the deal.
No, so I'll be up there somewhere.
You have to lose a little weight, huh? People that miss it.
What's the lifespan of one of those?
It was,
Do you know what the last span is on them?
I was just curious. How long?
I couldn't tell you for sure. I'm sure it's several years.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
The next one you have is from the Friends of the R.B. Tullis Library, and funds requested is $6,000, and they have matching funds of $3,000.
So we need a motion.
I make a motion, we accept that.
Motion by Director Carlisle.
I'll say.
Thank you. Second by Director Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
And the next one you have is from the Boy Scouts Cub Pack 911, and they're requesting $1,303, and they have a match of $642.
Okay, so we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Motion by Director Carlisle.
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Director Rivera. Any discussion? All in favor? Martin? Are you? Unanimous, thank you.
Next item is Wood Branch Police Department, and the funds requested $17,222.35, and they have matching funds of $8,482.65. Just to let you know on this one, when they were making the presentation, one of the things that Stephen said is a state mandated item. So we went through the process of looking at if in fact it's truly a state mandated item. In fact, it is not. It's recommended, but not required by the state. So once again, the reason we were looking at it is not funding something that the Wood Branch Police Department themselves should be paying their own funds for. So this is something that's recommended, but it's not mandated by the state that these things are mainly cars. So just so you know that in the review, we had David and our attorneys looking at it, and it's highly recommended, but not required. And so that gives us some leeway in regards to this grant and go ahead and making it as opposed to funding something that they should be required to have from the state's perspective. So it gives us leeway in providing this grant. So most importantly, that's one thing we're looking at. So just to let you know.
That is actually wrong. It is required that you have to have in-car video. The racial profile is what makes it required.
Is that?
If you make traffic
That's
stops,
that's what
if you make traffic stops, it's required.
that's what we found, the reference to it was in the racial profiling section. And what it, if I remember correctly, what it said was you have to do extensive reporting, much greater reporting if you don't have cameras than if you do have cameras. And it originally set up a program for the state to make cameras available to small police departments. We tried to track down that program, and it appears that it is no longer.
It's from a long time ago, right?
So technically, I guess if you're a small police department, you can run cars without the cameras in them. You're just going to have to take
Extensive paperwork.
extensive reporting.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so
I'm glad we have the same thing, because it's sort of a negative process trying to find, that particular needle in the haystack.
But they got like 3 different forms of reporting, and the most popular way is with the in-car video, and you don't have to fill out all that paperwork. You're right.
okay, so we would need a motion to approve that grant.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Okay, Director Rogers has made the motion and is seconded by Director Hudson. Any further discussion? All in favor? Mark, thank you. It's unanimous, thank you.
The next grant we have is from the VFW Piney Woods Post 4816, and they requested $39,362.50 with matching funds of $19,387.50. Just to let you know, we looked at some other construction alternatives, maybe using concrete. We had a commitment from T Steel to provide some rebar as a contribution, and Commissioner Clark maybe helping out. Once again, that approach still ended up being more than this, but we were looking at some other alternatives. So at this point, we think this is the best alternative as far as fixing up the parking lot at this time. But just to let you know, we were looking at other alternatives, trying to make it better than what they were looking at and utilizing at that point. But
I move that we approve it.
Okay. All right, Director Barrett has made a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Okay. Second by Director Cepeda. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
The next item we have is from Roman Forest Police Department. Funds requested is $680.05, and matching funds of $334.95.
So we need a motion. Okay. Motion by Director Hudson, second by Director Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor? Abstaining? Passes, thank you.
And number 11 in your packet has been withdrawn. That was from Constable's office. So if we move on to number 12. This is New Caney ISD Education Foundation. Funds requested is $50,000. They have $50,000 in matching. And I think at our meeting, we moved to approve $25,000 for their request.
Okay, so we need a motion. Okay, I've got a director, I've got a motion by Director Catherine Pearson, sorry. And I need a second. Okay, second by Director Carlisle. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
That one's for 25.
25,000.
The next item is for Splendor Project Graduation. Funds requested is $2,000. There wasn't any match. Once again, just to let you know, we already have a program in place where we fund all the project graduations. We allocate at least $1,000 to each school. So in doing so, this is already really funded through our existing budgeting process. And in addition to that, we support other events that they have for fundraising for project graduation, golf tournaments, fishing tournaments, other things that come up, different auctions and things. So just so you're aware, we've already got that level of support out there. I don't think they were aware of that, but
So we don't need to,
No.
we just take no action on
I think since they applied, they went through the application process, you do need to go through and at least, say no, because due to the fact that we are already funding that. But if you got an application, you do need to make a decision.
So So we would need a motion to deny that.
Or defer?
Or if you want to defer it, yeah, sure, that would, you know, but you do need to take some action on the
Yeah.
application.
Well, they're still gonna get the money, right?
Yeah, they're
That is
like,
correct.
it's already in the
That's
budget.
So I guess I'll make the motion to defer this because we're gonna fund it anyway.
Or we're gonna have to just happen again later, right?
Yeah.
We're better off just.
Just deny this
Deny it
time,
now.
knowing that the funding is.
Okay, well, then just deny it. My motion is to deny it because we're funding it anyway.
Okay. So motion by Director Carlisle,
Second.
second by Director Heston. Any further discussion?
Frank, who's gonna make them aware of that,
We do, anyone that applies, anyone that's approved, anyone that's denied, we provide them notice in the next couple of days. We'll call them, say, hey, congratulations, we're gonna set you up, come in, we'll get your funding set up for you to come in for this day to receive your check. So we provide that notification to all applicants.
all right.
Yeah, we always do that.
Okay, so the next one.
The next applicant you have is Motivation, Education, and Training, Inc. Funds requested $20,173.57. Matching funds of $9,936.24. Once again, in their presentation they made with you guys, we were looking for some follow-up documentation. Didn't receive anything up to this point on benefits to residents in our community. So that's where we ended up with their application.
I'll make the motion that we decline this because this is out of district.
Motion by Director Carlisle, second by Director Heston. Any discussion? Yes.
You know, this is for Head Start programs, and I know the 2 Head Start programs that East Montgomery County kids can go to or their parents take them to are this one and the one in Cleveland. So we're bound to have some kids, quite a few kids, I'm sure, from Splendora and Caney impacted by this. And while we fund athletics and parking lots and lots of other things, I think this is just a very important program and request. So I would hope that we do have communication and if nothing else, maybe even defer this for them to come back with documentation on how many students they're serving from the Splendora and Caney area.
And I think going one step further, I think the bigger problem is that they're actually physically located in Grangerland and it's out of our district. And if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, David, but our legislation prevents us from spending money outside of our district.
No, I'm sorry. No, it allows you to spend in and outside of office. It specifically does say that.
Because this is,
You can go outside the, in the interest of the other purposes for which you're authorized to do this.
To my knowledge, there's not a Head Start program that is within East Montgomery County boundaries, this Splendora and Caney, it's Cleveland and Grangerland.
It's something we need to evaluate.
Anybody hear from them?
does anybody hear from?
Anybody hear from
It's
that organization?
Yeah, if y'all recall during our meeting, they identified they have 20 families that they do serve within the improvement district boundary, but they have 165 students, but they weren't sure what number of that 165 students came from within our area. And it seemed like a low percentage, but we never got, we said our board's going to make a decision next board meeting, and we never heard anything back from them. And you guys were asking the right questions, but we just didn't receive all the answers.
We only have 20 out of 160,
20 families,
20 families out of 160.
165 kids.
Okay,
Okay.
so is it possible that they can find some funding somewhere else and we can provide less money?
That was suggested by, Isabel.
Yeah, they could go after the CDBG money, community development block grant money that goes to the whole Montgomery County, that they could apply for the particular need.
Or perhaps we could defer it to the spring grant session to give them time to bring the information
Sure.
we requested, so that they don't have to go through the process of reapplying for the funds. And maybe that would allow them time to prepare and get the information.
Well, Head Start is a government function, Head Start is it's funded by the federal government. It don't cost those kids when they're at Central in the school. It's fully funded.
all the needs of everybody's
Yes.
on federal approaches.
So would y'all like to treat this one like we did with the Splendor Baseball League? They came back to the next cycle. You want us to just put that in our next cycle for coming up in the springtime? We can look at it again at that point.
Sure.
I think
I'll
we need to-
amend the motion to defer to that. Or do I need to make a motion to amend,
Use the signature.
or should I withdraw my motion?
Looking for the legislation to answer your questions.
Would it be better that I withdraw the motion?
Yeah, so would be better to do it.
Should he withdraw his motion, or could he just amend it?
If that's the will of the body to allow to withdraw it, if everybody's in favor of that, you can just withdraw.
Well, I'd like to withdraw it, and somebody else will make another motion.
Nobody objects to it.
Any objection to withdrawing the motion?
We'll bring it back in the spring session.
If somebody would need to make a motion to defer it to the spring cycle,
Make a motion to defer the
Okay.
spring cycle.
then I'll do that. Okay, so we have a motion to defer their grant request to the spring cycle by Director Rogers.
Second.
And Catherine, and we have a second by Director Pearson. All in favor?
Well, I wanted to say something.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Can we see to it that we tell them that we deferred it for that reason, so they can give us more information?
Any action you all take tonight, we convey that back to our applicants. So don't feel like no one's not communicating. We additionally told them we needed additional information, we didn't receive it. So we are communicating with the applicants, and they will receive feedback from your all's actions tonight. So there's open communication going back between us and our applicants consistently. So just so you know.
Any further discussion?
No, I agree with that. I think we need to decline it until they at least furnish the information we requested.
Okay. All in favor of deferring it to the spring session? And it's unanimous, thank you.
I had one other item for you. We were talking about grants. In front of you, you've got a letter from Mission Northeast. And they went through the funding process. This was from our previous cycle. It's a bit unusual due to the fact that Montgomery County is stepping in and going to fund their needs. If you read through the letter, we had approved a check in the amount of $49,010.50 to the mission. However, those funds are going to be remitted back to the improvement district because those funds have to be controlled by the county. They're utilizing CDBG funds to finish up the project. So when you use federal funds and local funds, the local funds have to flow through the local county. So the mission is going to write us a check back, and then you all would just need to approve the reallocation of funds, or we would then need to write a check back to the county, and then the county would control that allocation of funds because it has to match up. They have to use so much local money and then so much federal money from HUD for that project to all come together. So if y'all are comfortable with this letter, we just need to make a motion that we prepare that check to submit back to Montgomery County for them to complete their project.
I so move.
Okay, so motion by Director Rivera and second by Director Pearson. Is there any discussion?
The county's aware that we're doing this?
The county is the one that requested it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the motion?
So basically,
The motion is that we need to receive the funds back from the mission, and then we need to write a check to Montgomery County instead of the mission. Because the county has to control the disbursement of funds since they're utilizing our funds with HUD and CDBG funds to complete the project at the mission.
So we're still doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's for the same purpose. It's for the same purpose. It just has to go through the county.
Because,
Yeah,
Okay?
sorry.
Yes. Catherine said. Is there any further discussion on this?
what was the total amount of money that was allocated for the public to know?
For the mission?
No.
For the grant.
For the grant? Let's vote on this first and then.
Okay,
I'll-
sorry.
Oh, it's okay. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. The total grants that were awarded this evening, with the change, including the changes, is $153,527.78. So that's
53 what?
153,527.78. We will go on to our next item, which is to consider approval of audit report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2015.
All right, it's on now, I believe. In front of you is the 2015 financial audit report, as shown with the red binding strip. Before we start, this is a draft copy, so there will be changes to this. I talked to David earlier today about some of the changes that are we're going to implement to the notes and some of the changes on the income statement regarding the wording and the labeling of certain revenues. So, with that being said, if you could turn past the first page, just the one past the table of contents. This is our opinion letter. It's a clean opinion. It's an opinion we've issued in the past. So now you can turn to page 3. Pages 3 through 7 is our management discussion and analysis. This is basically an overview of the entire year. Now I'd like you to turn to page 11, please. Page 11, 12, 13, and 14 is your income statement. This is basically where your revenue and your expenses are. So I'll be flipping back and forth between these two pages. We'll start with the general fund. I'm sorry, before I do that, the industrial park land sale of $3 million in the general fund, that was not completely for the industrial park. $50,000 of that was for the industrial park, and the remaining $3.1 million was for the tech stock. So that's one of the changes that we'll make before the audit gets final. It does look like there was $11,000 in total revenue. Not 11 million, I'm sorry, 10,000.
Is your microphone on?
It is, yes.
Oh.
Like I said, it's $11 million in revenue. But if you turn over to page 13, under the general fund, there was $5 million in expenses. Which basically, there was a transfer to the debt service fund of $1 million, which basically gave us a net change in fund balance of $4.4 million. What that means is that it increased your fund balance from prior year. If you see the number right underneath that, the 4.5, it increased it to $9 million. Now, we'd like to run a little analysis of how much your reserve covers in expenses. If we took a look at this year's expenses, it was $5 million. Being that you have $9 million in expense in reserve, that means that if you receive no more money, that you could cover up to 19 months of expenses without receiving another dime. Industry average is about 6 months to a year. So the fact that you have 19 months is really, really good. Then we go over to the next category here. The next column, I apologize, is the debt service fund. Very little activity in that one. There's hardly any revenue, $4,000. There was payments made for the bonds. It looks like there was $400,000 in principal and about $581,000 in bond interest. Now, if you look at down there at the bottom as well, there's a change in fund balance or your fund balance position. It looks like your fund balance or your reserve in the debt service fund is $2 million. Now, if we factor in your next 2 years worth of bond payments, your reserve could cover for the 2016 and the 2017 bond without, like I said, without receiving any more money. Usually, it's about a year, give or take a little less than a year. So the fact that you have 2 years worth of bond payments in your reserve for the debt service fund is fantastic. The capital projects fund, like there's very little activity in that one as well. Your fund balance there is $95,000. But like I said, very little activity in that one. So now if I get you to turn over to page 16.
Actually, I have a question.
Sure.
Since we've done so well in terms of 19 months
Reserve.
in reserve
Yes, ma'am.
for meeting fund balance and 2 years looking at our debt service, I'm assuming on building, then why wouldn't we have a AAA bond rating?
I'm not sure.
Okay, because I noticed it was, I think, a AA, and I don't know all the criteria.
I can tell you why. We talk to Moody's and Standard & Poor's on an annual basis. One of the most consistent concerns that our underwriters have is a large portion of our sales tax is dependent upon the 13-14 area. You've got Walmart, Home Depot, those are our large taxpayers in the district. So honestly, if Walmart goes out of business, the whole country's in trouble. Basically, Walmart is Walmart, so we got troubles if Walmart goes out of business. However, there is a large portion of our revenue that is derived from Walmart, Home Depot, and that central area. So as our economy continues to diversify, our bond rating will go up with the new Kroger facilities, Academy, Sam's. Those are other big boxes. But right now, we're limited to 2 big boxes in our district, being Home Depot and Walmart. And that provides a little bit of discomfort if you're an underwriter, that there are just 2 places. What if there was some terrorist threat or something, or something that happens to those locations and people can't go there to shop for some reason, who knows? But there's always that underlying risk of that revenue stream changing due to we have a large dependence on that one section of our district being 13, 14, and 59. So that's the concern we have every year. Honestly, as you look across the street, you see all that changing. You see the Kroger at North Park. We're diversifying our revenue streams to other products and other lines, so our rating should go up in the future. So
Within 2 years, we should attain a AAA bond rating.
that's up to the underwriters. However, I will tell you that we are in a better revenue position as we diversify with other retail establishments coming to the district.
Thank you.
I can't promise a better bond rating, but I can promise you a more diversified economy coming to East Montgomery County. Yes.
Given these I was just going to say, given these kinds of reserves, it's just a mystery to me why you wouldn't attain a AAA bond rating.
Part of it is size as well. There's size levels that they look at, and whether you compare big enough your revenue stream, whether 9 million or 7 million a year is sufficient to bump you up that high, remains to be seen. Who's service drivers?
Thank you, Frank. Like I said, on page 16, pages 16 through 29 of your notes. This is, notes haven't changed, besides the numbers. They basically remain the same. And like I said earlier, David and I have talked about making some changes to some of the notes in here that you'll see before the audit gets final. If you'd like to turn to page 28, there's a couple there that we talked about that needs to be changed before it gets final. So, but the numbers are good. They're current year numbers, so the numbers won't change. It's just maybe adding a line regarding, the ESD 7 has received has gone over a certain amount in tax revenue what is it? Appraisal numbers, value that the district won't be funding a certain amount. And as far as the joint development agreement with Walmart, we may have to take that out as well. But like I said, we'll make changes to that before the audit gets final. Now if you could turn to page 31. 31 and 32 is your budget to actual comparison. And I'm just going to look at the last column here. In the last column, it shows that your total revenue, you got a positive variance of $3.8 million. And if you turn to the next page, page 32, you had a positive variance in your expenses as well as of $56,000. So that's what made your net change in fund balance to 4.3 million. So this concludes the audit. So unless there's any questions or anything, I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
Do we need to wait though until the changes are made before we approve it?
No, the changes will be done to the final draft, the final copy. We can certainly make work with David as far as the wording and things like that, but this is just a motion to approve the draft copy of the audit.
The draft copy,
Yes,
not
correct.
the final copy.
Correct,
You'll
correct.
come back with the final completed copy?
We won't come back, this is just the motion to approve like I said, the draft copy, because the numbers are good, it's just a wording.
So the numbers are not going to change?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
That's
It's
what I
just
want.
yes, it's just a matter of some of the categorizing some of the numbers differently.
It's the narrative in the notes.
Exactly, yes, thank you very much.
Narrative in the notes
Correct.
And you stated all the changes.
Correct, yes.
I'll make the motion that we accept this with the changes that he stated.
There's a motion by Director Carlisle. And we have a second by Director Pearson. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. The next item is to consider financial bookkeeping, cash flow, and investment reports, and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith, including authorizing the payment of invoices presented or shown in such reports.
I believe all of you should have a supplemental report. You received the original report last week. If any of you have any questions on the original report, I'd be happy to answer them. There's not a lot of change on the supplemental. We do have just a list of checks that were sent over today that you signed. They totaled $143,815.68. So the only change in the report at all is the base. If you look on page 3 of the supplemental, your total has changed to $9,745.39. Any questions on any part of the report, or would you like me to go over more?
Are you making that motion? Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Director Pearson to approve it as presented.
Second.
And a second by Director Besson. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. The next item is to consider status of constable patrol security program at shopping centers within the district during the holiday season and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith. Mr. Chief?
Clerk.
Good evening, Board of Directors, and thank you guys for allowing me to be here to present to you guys the stats for the 4-week stats for the Safe Shopper Initiative. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for letting our Criminal Investigation Division utilize one of your rooms here during a sting that they had. They were able to net over 25 child predators during that sting, so it was very successful, and we appreciate you guys doing that.
Let me mention that to them. Once again, we were trying to do this without a lot of notification to all bad guys out there. We allowed the constable's office to utilize our building for several days in apprehending some pedophile suspects through wireless and other computer means on chat rooms and different things. And once again, just so y'all are aware, we did allow them to utilize the facility, and the purpose of not anyone knowing was tied into we didn't want anyone to know. So once again, you'll hear some of the results from what took place, and it was all very encouraging, and they did a great job. So I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, we've used different locations throughout the community to do some of these stings that we call them. We've used apartment buildings, we've used our office, we've used mobile command trailers. We just kind of like to mix it up because some of the people that we're targeting are way smarter than I am. I can assure you that. These guys are top of the line when it comes to criminals. So you really gotta be above them, so you gotta try to reel them in, and that's exactly what we did. And not necessarily, use this place right here to bring criminals here, use this place right here for our central command center. We can use that central command center even at our office, but sometimes they have technology that can track us. So it's best for us to move around. So whenever they see us at a place like this, they don't think nothing of it. They think we're at a school, they think we're at a library, they think we're at an apartment complex down the road. So it was really successful. I'm going to talk real fast about the retraction of our grant request that we had here a while back. We have a little bit of a change in county policy. In the past, what we do is we would fill out the grant, and if it was okay by you guys, we'd take it to Commissioner's Court. Commissioner's Court would give us permission to receive the grant. They changed it up just a little bit. Now we have to take the grant, fill it out, we give it to a grant committee. They look at it and see if it's a grant that they want the county to be involved in. Once they give their blessing on it, it comes back to you guys, and if you guys okay the grant, then it goes back to Commissioner's Court, and then Commissioner's Court gives us the real permission to accept your grant. So, it was just a change. We'll resubmit the grant at a later date. Just a change in county policy. Mr. President, as long as you have precinct 4 on watch, your 2 big box stores are safe. There will be no terrorist attacks. I can assure you that. All right. Good. Before I pass out a couple stat sheets for your 4-week stats at the Safe Shopper. You have the 2014 and you have the 2015. You can see that a lot of our time is spent doing building checks, shaking doors, talking to some of the business owners. That's a great thing. That means that the crime is down. So what you guys are doing by funding this, it's working. There's just not a whole lot more of crime compared to last year out there. So everything's down, arrests are down, felony arrests, case reports. We don't write a whole lot of citations in this job, but we do a lot of warnings. Warning citations are down, everything's down, shoplifters are down, vehicle burglaries are at a 0. We'll probably keep it at a 0. That doesn't mean that when we don't have a guy there, something bad happens. We didn't have a guy there the other night, and 4 people tried to take money out of cash register at Walmart. But we had guys that were on duty, regular duty, that were responding. We caught one, we got out of the way. So there's loops and there's gaps, but for the most part, the bad guys know we're there, and it's working. So we greatly appreciate it. The building checks are way up, and that's how we want it to be. We're pushing these push cards that you provided for us. They're going on business doors, they're going on car windshields, so it's out there. What you're doing by funding this, it's working. It's a success. We greatly appreciate it. I'm open for questions.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
The guy that you apprehended, the 3 got away, was he from this area or was he?
Absolutely not. Most of the people that we are catching are not from this area, and that's the same as when we started this every year, the majority of it now. Maybe people's just not in the wild in Christmas season yet. It just hadn't hit them yet, but I'm sure we're going to get busy. Seems like whenever it gets a little bit, a few cold front, people act like deer and they start acting stupid out there, but I'm sure we're going to get a little bit more busy, but for the most part, I'll work some undercover out there. We got another guy coming in, do some more undercover work out there. We're going to seek them out and find them and plug that hole in the dam before it happens. So we're looking for them.
What changed with the building checks? Because there's more buildings?
No, absolutely not. So if the guys are spending less time actually apprehending bad guys, they got time on their hands. When they have time on their hands, their default is building checks.
By having time on their hands, being more proactive, it prevents more crime.
That's true. But whenever you have that big cluster step right in the middle of it, and you have 4 or 5 people in custody, you're not going to get any building checks done on that day. You're going to spend 6 hours doing booking paperwork. They're good with it.
Good job.
Great job.
Appreciate it.
Eric,
Thank you.
Yes,
when you
sir.
say building checks, do you actually go up and check the doors of the buildings and stuff like that?
Yeah, if it's after hours, I mean, we run a lot of alarms, and, you know, alarm calls, open door calls, whatever it may be. But for the most part, building check is just make sure that the doors are locked. A lot of people leave, and you may have, somebody new who's closing the store, and they may not turn the deadbolt the right way, and think it's locked and get in their car, or talking on the phone and forget about it. They leave doors unlocked. We have to get a hold of the key holder, through the dispatch and see if somebody come up there and lock the door. So we go up there, we shake the doors, rattle the doors, check. Now, if it's business hours, we're talking to the business owners and letting them know we're out here, call us. A lot of the business owners have our cell phone numbers, and they're calling us direct. Hey, you gonna do me on this job over here? So I got some guys over here, I need you to come check them out. And if I'm not on duty and they call me, well, I just call whoever's on duty that day. So we're on top of it.
Any other questions?
I got a comment, I actually saw him on a bicycle the other day. He's actually working at
Yes, I do. I do bike patrol, but I'm trying not to do it whenever it's raining. October, Halloween, I did it when I was raining. I got the flu, so I'm just not recovering from that. But we love doing the bike patrol out there. Great tool.
Well, thank y'all so much. Appreciate the job y'all do.
Yes, sir.
Barry, just out of curiosity, what kind of remarks are you getting from the business owners about this safety shoppers thing?
Well, they love it. A lot of the remarks that we get was, we didn't know we've ever had bike patrol out here when we're on bike patrol. But they love it. You know, they're glad to be out here and, you know, tell them how we're funded. We're letting them know. So the public they know what's going on. People we're coming in contact with, business owners, they know how we're funded and what we're doing out here.
Good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Good work.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, the next item is announcements. Do we have some announcements?
Maybe a few minutes.
I would like to say that last week, Frank and Leonard and Tara and I were in Dallas at a retail trade show, and it was the best trade show I've ever been to. And I was so excited because we had so many people coming to our booths telling us they want to come to East Montgomery County. The word's finally getting out. We're growing up, we're becoming the big guys, and we'll be able to compete with the big guys. And it was so promising, and it was very, very exciting. And I was so excited to be there. Anybody else have anything?
I'd like to congratulate Frank for he's now representing a region, representing several states rather than just Texas. And what's the council? It's an economic development, national economic.
Yeah, I serve.
I serve yourself for a minute.
Yeah, okay. I serve on the board of the Southern Economic Development Council, which is 17 states across the entire southeast area. And part of that function is I've been elected by all the other professionals in the state of Texas to serve as the Texas director for several years. And I've been in that position several times. This past week I was elected a regional director representing the states of Kansas, Missouri, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. And we'll be their voice on the executive committee for Southern Economic Development Council and serving on that board. And I did that one other time back in 2008. So once again, just thank you, Steve. And that's something that it's nice to be on that board and at the same time get to set some policies and the way that we approach economic development across the southeast and continue the transition of moving the automotive industry to the southeast. That's some of the things that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot more manufacturers move from the northern areas to the southeast. And our whole group approaches that from a marketing strategy. That's the future of our country. And we're going to continue to promote that and do great things in the field of economic development. So thank you.
And he doesn't like to choose on corn, but I am, so do me a favor.
Good job, Frank.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations. December 7th is our open house.
I wanted to mention also, it's been about, I guess, a year and a half or two, we went to a trade show, and I got an email, Frank was out of town, and I forwarded it to Frank. We talked to somebody almost 2 years ago, they're interested now, they're gonna come and meet with Frank and go see our industrial park. 2 years, we planned to see, now they're coming to see us. So it does work when we go out on these trade shows. Might take a little time, but they'll come around.
December 7th is our open house from, I believe it starts at 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock until 7. So come by, might have some food. Any other announcements?
What's that date?
December 7th. December 7th. Okay, then what we will do is we will recess to executive session to discuss real property matters pursuant to section 551.072, Texas Government Code, pending or contemplated litigation pursuant to section 551.071, Texas Government Code, matters in which the duty of the attorney to the district under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with chapter 551, Texas Government Code pursuant to section 551.071, Texas Government Code, and economic development negotiations pursuant to section 551.087, Texas Government Code, and we are in recess at 7:20. And thank you all for being here this evening. Okay, we're back in 8:54. The next item is to consider status and modifications to development agreement and status of preparation of second amended and restated economic development agreement by and among Sig Valley Ranch Limited, Valley Ranch Town Center Limited, East Montgomery County Improvement District, Economic Development Zone Number 1, and the district, and the taking any actions required in connection therewith.
Nothing yet finalized with Valley Ranch on the expansion, and we're trying to get through a few other points on the document and get that to you next month.
Okay. Next item is to consider the status of the development of the district's 12.85-acre site, including the construction of improvements and the leasing of space in the district's office building and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith, including status of condemnation by TxDOT relative to Grand Parkway and approval of lease agreement with Montgomery County Services.
And I'll go back with Montgomery County Services and give them a proposal, and if we're in concurrence and agreement, then I'll bring you that lease agreement next month for your approval.
Okay. Next item, consider report on activities within the industrial park and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith, including status of sale of dirt out of future detention pond, including status of contract with TDG for excavation and delivery of dirt, status of contract with Quadvest Construction for construction of roads to serve section 3, approval of plans and specifications and authorized advertisement for bids relative to construction of roads to serve section 4, status of plat of section 3 and section 4, status of contract with Quadvest Construction for construction of wastewater lift station, status of contract with Quadvest for water distribution and wastewater collection facilities to serve industrial park section 3, and review bids and authorize award of contract for installation of signage.
The detention pond dirt, I know that Rebel and,
Catalyst Trading. Catalyst Trading?
Catalyst Trading have been talking, and I don't know the status of it. I'll try to find out from Rusty. I know that they have been going back and forth on, because their property's gotta be clean, and then they want to dump the dirt on it. And Rusty will direct them. The Quadvest contract for the roads is waiting on the ditch. The ditch is, they started, and they'll probably, depending on the weather, be able to finish within 3 or 4 months, what they're looking at. It's a big project, but we've got to raise, I've told y'all before, it's got to be, the ditch has got to be done before the roads and the utilities go in. Because we're raising everything so much on the road, it just won't work unless we put the raise out and put the utilities. The lift station, we met with Quadvest this week. They're probably going to start within a couple of weeks on the lift station site. And we'll get that in. And that will allow a couple of things when property is sold along Big Campbell, we can tie right into that and pump it into the sewer plant that'll be treated. Section 4, we're kind of putting it on hold a little bit. We'll be able to go, blow and go, but it's kind of a moving target out there because we're constantly looking at new companies and depending on till one of those is sold, kind of holding off to finish everything because it could alter the shape of that. Then the last one is the sign. We took bids on the sign, and I apologize to you guys, all this trouble, I walked out and left the contractor office. But we did get a good bid, it was 40,400, I think, somewhere over 40,000. Contracts are at the sign company, it was National Signs, a big sign company, which was like, if you have it, you know, we talked about all this time. They are getting together their bonds and insurance right now. We should have that back early next week. And we'll send it to David for his review, make sure everything's okay. And then give it to Barney and we can get started. We have talked to, you're gonna have to pay, we're gonna use Rebel, I guess. It's not gonna be that much money, but we gotta fill that site a little bit, raise it up because it's low. And the sign is a sign. We held off on bidding the electrical, but we got any prices on that, the lighting, because I wanted to see where the sign was, you know, in relation to 1314, so you wouldn't blind us like. So it should be going in, I'd say it'd be started within the month. So that's one thing to take on. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for you?
40,000 for the sign?
No, it's a little over, somewhere right over 40,000.
I mean, per year, or
No, that's the sign, cost of the sign.
we don't have to pay a ground lease or anything like that?
You're paying 10,000 a year, I think,
Yeah.
to the people that own the property.
Okay, that's per year.
That's for rent, yeah, that's the rental land.
Okay.
And then 40,000 is plus the
Forty
mill
dollars
work and the
plus
electric.
cost of the sign.
I used National before in my business, and I paid so much per month, and there was no 40,000 up front for making my signs or anything like
Oh,
that.
but this is a big sign.
Yeah,
It's cheap.
The sign is guaranteed, I think, 5 years.
I used National, I used 3M, I used several other sign companies over the years.
Honestly, the sheet of plywood cost, man.
Listen to him. Next thing I'm gonna think, you come over in a covered wagon or what?
Joe, I got a question, that price, that's including whoever does that, get that contract, that, the groundwork and everything?
We'll have to bring in, that's what I was saying, probably since Rebel's out there, we got the trucks, we've got
I didn't hear that.
to build it.
So that price is just for the sign?
Just for the sign, so,
And so much per month.
well,
We're already paying
the
that
property.
to the lease people, to get the plan.
The sign's not gonna be, the sign's gonna be $140,000, that's it.
Yeah,
The
40.
lease, but the 10,000 for the lease of the land,
Right.
Per year.
not the
Each.
sign.
Yeah.
10,000 each.
Yeah. The one on the other one, we've got to get cleared, and I told you I was in the floodway, and we're working on that right now, trying to get that approved, because we're gonna have to put it up
On the billboard.
on
Type thing.
kind of billboard kind of deal, but it'll look the same. Probably be a little smaller than the one on 1314, just because of this, span we gotta do for the sign foundation. We're working on that, trying to get it done.
Joe, is that one on 1495, is that gonna be on the east side or the west side of that ditch?
Be on the east side.
On the east side of it?
That'd be across the road from King County.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions? Thank you.
So we need a motion to approve the award of that contract?
National signs, yeah.
I'll make the motion that we award national signs.
Okay. The motion by Director Carlo and a second by Director Pearson. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay. Next is, you want to do all, or do one at a time? H3. And
We got nothing on H, nothing on I, nothing on J, nothing on K, and we just need to approve modifications to the incentive agreement with E-Controls in regards to the piece of property, additional 5 acres being incorporated into their agreement, building a 20,000 square foot facility, and then providing $10,000 in expenses for them to relocate into the East Montgomery County area.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve that?
So moved, but that really wasn't in addition to the 5 acres, in addition to that, down to 5 acres instead of 3.3 acres.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So we have a motion by Director Pearson and a second by Director Hess. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next item, consider status of the designated sites for splashback projects and authorize preparation of agreements for conveyance of sites to the district and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith. And do it together, okay. And consider approval of lease installation, operation, and management agreements between the district and the city of Splendora and between the district and the city of Roman Forest and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith. And David, do you want to word us how that motion should be?
I'd like to make the motion if you word it for me.
All right. Three parts. One is to, as you know, that Frank's been talking to Splendora and Roman Forest about designating the site. So in connection with that, will be to finalize the agreement that sets forth the procedure for identifying the land, building the facility, and operating it. So if you're ready, I'd like you to approve that tonight so we can complete that and get it to the 2 cities. The second thing is to authorize Frank to select and retain a splash pad designer to begin the process of designing the 2 splash pads, the splash pads for those 2 locations. And then the third thing is,
Survey.
is to authorize, Joe to go and survey and get legal descriptions for the sites that we're going to actually put the pads out. That's the line.
Does that include the agreement and everything too?
Pardon me?
That includes the agreement?
Yeah.
Yes, that's part of the
First one.
approval of the lease.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion of those 3 points.
Okay.
Hey, can he make that motion since he works for the city?
He can. He's not really necessarily a conflict for him because he doesn't have derive any benefit from it personally. But if you're more comfortable abstaining and letting somebody else do it, that's fine.
You can still make the motion.
It's whatever I do.
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion. I don't see a conflict.
Okay. So we need a second?
It has nothing to do with it.
A second, but that is with the
Yeah, 'cause you
understanding that
represent
when
the city.
Frank selects and retains the designer, there will be 2 separate designs.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
That's for the,
So we have a motion and we have a second. Is there any discussion?
I was just wondering, since he works for the city, is his motion legal?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that point. To come back and haunt you.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, and it's unanimous. Thank you.
No, that was for both cities, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
That's what he said. Okay, the next item is to consider status of economic development projects, including status of the consumer agreement with Royal Purple.
And nothing on item A through D we can take out if you.
Okay, status of incentive agreement with Wellspring Midwifery Care and Birth Center relative to new facility in the district.
And once again, this is just providing some more funds for them to get open. In a midwifery care, there's situations where through, I think how to say this, through the birthing process, there's some blood that can potentially end up in the water. And for that to be discharged into the local sewer system, there's a pre-treatment sewer system, not a pre-treatment, but a holding tank that's required for them to put in. We're happy to help them with that and provide another $3,000 for them to ensure they can get open during the month of December. So,
So moved.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Pearson. And I will second it. Is there any more discussion? You gentlemen don't have any questions about the birthing process? Okay. All in favor?
Y'all can have that.
Motion's approved. Unanimous, thank you.
You shut down that conversation.
The next item is consider acceptance of nominations for Outstanding Citizen Recognition Award and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith.
And in doing so, we haven't received any other nominations other than the one individual that we've selected. And at this point, we're planning on awarding that at our Fire and Ice Festival going on in January the 9th. And that individual will be recognized at that event.
Okay.
Is this public who it is?
I think we voted last
Yes,
week.
ma'am.
We do.
Yeah,
We voted, I don't think he's been notified yet of.
correct.
Okay, the last item is to consider matters for possible placement on future agendas. If there is nothing, then we are adjourned at 9:09 p.m.